Okay, the Maamar Vata Tetzaveh. Okay, we're going to finish the Maamar. We're at the end of, middle of Eis Yud Aleph. Okay, the last thing the Rebbe was explaining, that beside the complacency and golus that reveals the essence of the neshama, not the way the essence is limited in the fact that it's an essence, but even above that. And then he starts explaining that Va'ata Tetzaveh, the previous Rebbe explains in the Maamar, doesn't only mean Va'ata Tetzaveh, you connect the Yidden to Hashem. Va'ata Tetzaveh B'nai Yisod means you bind the Jews to each other. What do you mean you bind the Jews to each other? Because in the level, the essence of the neshama, that's even a greater level than what the Rebbe says in Tanya, that the neshama is primary and the body is secondary. But in this level that he's binding the Jews because of their essence, which is the level of essence, which is above essence, that level binds even the bodies together. Because they're mamish exactly the same thing. See, we're up to about Pizah Yuvan. Now we can understand what it says in the Maamar. And not only that, we said it reveals even a deeper level of Moshe Rabbeinu. Like the Rebbe said at the beginning of the Maamar, the Yidden, by being the regal of Moshe Rabbeinu, they reveal the Anechi Hashem Elokecha in Moshe. Anechi Bekirbai, they revealed Anechi into Moshe Rabbeinu. So he says, through this we can understand what it says in the Maamar will be Ner Tamid. It should be a continuous flame. At the beginning of the Maamar, the Rebbe asked the pasuk that all the contradiction all the Mefarshim ask. One pasuk says Ner Tamid. Ner Tamid means continuous. Second, another pasuk right away says Me'erev ad Boker, from night to morning. That means it's not continuous, it's only night. So the simple answer is, continuous means continuously at night. But here the Rebbe is going to explain, no, there's Ner Tamid and there's Erev ad Boker. What does it mean? This, that the candle of the Neshama Ner Hashem Nishma Sodom is Tamid B'Shava B'Lishim Shinui. Where is it? Continuous, without any change. Is Aideish Gilui Etzem and Neshama. This is through the Etzem of the Gilui of Etzem and Neshama. Shenim Shechaidei Moshe Ata Tetzaveh. The Be'etzem and Neshama, there's no changes. Remember before the Rebbe said, in the level of Mesiras Nefesh that stimulates the Neshama, there are Jews that have Mesiras Nefesh in Russia, but outside Russia they don't have the same level of Mesiras Nefesh, which shows that it's not really emes. Because if the Gilui of the Etzem and Neshama, because it's emes, that would be continuous. There's no such thing as sometimes more, sometimes less. In the essence, there's no change. So he says, so he says, because the Gilui Etzem and Neshama that comes through Moshe Rabbeinu, there's no change. When that level is revealed, there's no change of Mesiras Nefesh in Russia, in America, wherever it is, it's the same thing. But Maamar, because in the Maamar he says, She'en yener tamid aidei she'yisrael me'isif u'madregis me'eshe v'yikhoylech. In the Maamar, the Friedrich Rebbe explains that how does Ner Tamid come about? Because first the pasuk says again, the order of the pasuk. V'ata Tetzaveh B'nai Yisrael. You bind the Yidden to Hashem and bind to each other. Through this, you become greater. And through Moshe Rabbeinu becoming greater, then it becomes Ner Tamid. That means, how is it possible to have this level of Ner Tamid continuous through the that add by to Moshe Rabbeinu? Moshe Rabbeinu binds the Yidden to Hashem, and therefore Moshe Rabbeinu becomes greater, and through there it becomes Ner Tamid. What does that have to do with Moshe Rabbeinu becoming greater? Yeshleima, the Gilui Etzem and Neshama. The Gilui of the Etzem and Neshama b'derech Mamayla Lamata Aidei Va'ata Tetzaveh. The revelation of essence of the Neshama that comes from Mamayla Lamata, like you said, Mesiras Nefesh reveals the essence of the Neshama. Like by Matan Torah, it was the Nasav and Ishma Kaf Alim Harkagigis. In that level of Gilui Atzim and Neshama, there's a chilik between Erev and Beikah. Then there's a difference between Erev and Beikah, between Golus and non-Golus. Why? She'ikar HaGilui Shelo. Because the primary Gilui of the essence of the Neshama is when there's a Lametz Statum Erev. The Rebbe explained before like this. Mesiras Nefesh awakens a deeper level of the Neshama than when things are good. Purim was greater than Matan Torah. Matan Torah was a level of Beikah. There were Giluyim Kriyas Yamsuf, Yitzias Mitzrayim, Matan Torah. It was Beikah, it was the Giluyim of Elokus. Then you have Purim, which is the level of Golus, Mesiras Nefesh. Mesiras Nefesh reveals a deeper level of the Neshama than Beikah does, than Matan Torah does. So therefore the Rebbe is saying, in that Gilui that comes of the Neshama revealing itself from above, that level, there's a difference between Erev and Beikah. Erev is more revealed of the Neshama than there is in Beikah. Why? Because Mesiras Nefesh reveals a deeper level of the Neshama. But that's only in the level of Gilui that the Neshama sees Elokus or Kaf Alim Harkagigis. Therefore, in that level of Gilui Etzem and Neshama, you have a difference between Erev and Beikah, between Matan Torah and Purim, between Russia and America. 1 second. Well, Kameshin is Barla, like he explained before. Shegam Eder Shebizman Gzeira. Even those Jews at the time of the Gzeira, in Russia, he's saying, Omdo b'Mesiras Nefesh, in the level of Erev. Yet, Shabo Lamokim She'ef Shelasik B'Ter Mitzvahs Mitei Charchova. But nevertheless, in those places where there was no problem, Boiked, you don't see the same level of Mesiras Nefesh as before. So in other words, like this, in that Gilui Etzem and Neshama, that reveals essence because it's essence, and therefore it's limited that it's essence, and therefore that level of Neshama is more revealed when there's Galus, Mesiras Nefesh, than there is in Matan Torah, in Beikah. So he says, there's two aspects. Gilui Etzem and Neshama, one level of it that comes from above, right? Kaf Alim Harkagigis. That level, there's a difference between Erev and Beikah. Erev is a greater revelation of the Neshama because it's Mesiras Nefesh. And Beikah, you don't need Mesiras Nefesh, it's not the same level. But, Avamit is in Ner Tamid. But the real level of Ner Tamid, Shein Shayach Beishini, where there is no change, is Ner Tamid, meaning doesn't matter, there's no Erev, there's no Beikah, it's just the same way always. That's Aidei Avidosim Shal Yisrael, Shegam HaKeiches HaGiluyim. That's through Aveda, like it said, V'yikchu Elecha. By the Eden doing their Aveda, adding to Moshe Rabbeinu, that causes that the Giluyim should be Chad Im Etzem and Neshama V'yikchu Elecha. So Rebbe is explaining there's two levels of Ner Tamid by the Menorah. The Menorah is the revelation of Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam. That's revealed through Moshe Rabbeinu. After Tetzaveh Bnei Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu binds the Yidden to Hashem, the Yidden to each other. It's the same thing, because the ultimate essential bond of the Jew and Hashem is when the Jews are bound to each other. Like it says, Ahavas Yisrael, the Baal Shem Tov said, is the vehicle and the vessel to come to Ahavas Hashem. That's why it's Klal Gadol B'Torah. So he says, by Moshe Rabbeinu Milmaila, binding the Yidden to each other, and therefore the Yidden to Hashem. Why? Because that's the Gilui. What unites all Jews together? The Gilui of Etzem and Neshama that Moshe Rabbeinu reveals. Tetzaveh Bnei Yisrael. That level is a level of Erev ad Beikah. Over there's a difference whether it's Mesiras Nefesh reveals a deeper level of the Neshama than Beikah does. And therefore there are people that had this Gilui of the essence during Mesiras Nefesh time, but not during freedom time. But when the Yidden do the Avodah, it comes from them, it reaches a far deeper level of the essence of the neshama, not the way it is milmaila, that's causing the gzeda from above by Purim. What happened? Hashem made a gzeda. Gzeiras Haman caused the Yidden to have Mesiras Nefesh. That came from above. Hashem made the gzeda, lash milarig alabed is kol hayudim, and therefore the Yidden have Mesiras Nefesh. So that Gilui Maamar, because it's not the avoid of the Jews themselves. It's not the avoid of the Jews themselves. So therefore there's a difference between Erev and Baker. Erev, Mesiras Nefesh, brings out a deeper level of the neshama than Baker does. But when it comes from the avoid of the Jew himself, Moshe Rabbeinu stimulates it. Moshe Rabbeinu Tetzaveh b'nei Yisrael. It comes like the Rebbe told somebody, the guy asked the Rebbe, no, did you ignite me? The guy asked the Rebbe, what's your function as a Rebbe? The Rebbe said, I have to ignite, all the neshamas together. The ignite the neshamas. So he says, did you ignite me? So the Rebbe told him, I gave you the wick, I gave you the match, I gave you everything. But the lighting you got to do.
That's the net coming.
That has to come from you.
So that's the net coming.
Because the whole dira b'tachteinim means that we do the avodah. If it's a push from above, then it's not tachteinim. Then we're not doing it. It's the revelation from above. And like we said in Shlomo Melech's time, the Rebbe explains that Yibes Thomas Maamar. The Rebbe explains that by Shlomo Melech's time, there was such a gili or of Elokus that shone, whatever the word is, all over the world. The Nor Elav Kol HaGoyim, all the Goyim came to Shlomo Melech. Why? Because it was an ultimate gili or nowhere in history there was a gili or that all the Goyim came to Shlomo Melech. But what was the problem with that? There was because of the gili or, the world didn't change. The world didn't change. In other words, when you go into a room and turn on the light, so the room is lit. But that is a gift that's coming from above. The room didn't get light, and the proof of it is when you turn off the light, the room is dark again. So if the light affected the world, to become light, then even when you turn off the light, it should be light.
That's Mashiach.
That's what Rebbe explains. That's the Gilui of Mashiach. That V'ro kol basar as basar. That means meat is meat. We'll see Elokus. The tachten is tachten. So the Rebbe explains that there's two levels. Erev HaBaker, it still comes from the Gilui Maamar Mesiras Nefesh. And therefore, when there's Mesiras Nefesh, you have a greater Gilui, and when there's no Mesiras Nefesh, you have a lower Gilui. But the concept of the Yichoi with Aved of Yidden, then it becomes Ner Tamid. Based on this, you can explain. Because of what does the pasuk say? Again, the Aved of the Jew, Shemen Zayis Kosis. Shemen Zayis of Kosis. Ki Kosis Lamor, what does Kosis Lamor mean? Nichla includes within it Gamzeh Yisraelim Shvurim and Idkorim. This that the Yidden are broken and upset. Mizeh Shem Begolus, the mere fact that they're in Golus. There's no Gashmi's problems, no Ruchnistic problems. What bothers the Jew? Like you said before, the real cause is from the fact we're in Golus. The Inyan Zaweh, the Avidosim Shal Yisrael. That is accomplished by the Aved of Yidden. Shagam Keiches HaGeluyim Shalahem. That even the revealed powers of Seichel and Midas should be masim and corresponding le'etzem and neshama, to the essence of the neshama, that there's no difference between erev and baker, there's no difference between guf and neshama, there's no difference between anything. Ubachin is hamor the neshama. Shem is galus ha'idei. This level of etzem and neshama that's revealed is not the level of etzem and neshama which is limited, that it's the essence, not that is limited as the essence, not to be revealed. But that's Etzem Neshama Mushrash Ba'atzmus. The way it's rooted in the essence of Hashem, meaning it's not even limited, that it's essence. It's above essence and revelations. So Rebbe explains, that they're broken from the mere factor in Golus. In other words, there's no external force, exterior force, like Xeris or decrees or that demands that level. It's coming from the Jew himself. What is the simple meaning of the pasuk? That Moshe should command the Yidden that they should bring oil to Moshe. It's the simple, not binding. Moshe should command the Jews to bring the oil. So we can understand in the deeper sense. This that Moshe Rabbeinu binds and connects the Yidden is ba'ef and shemam shuram nesinas koyach. That Moshe Rabbeinu gives them the koyach of a yikhu elecha. That means what simply allows the Jew v'yikhu elecha, their aveda, is v'hata tetzaveh comes from Moshe Rabbeinu. But ukmei ken negel Moshe b'derenu. The Chag Merichamad Nesiderenu Sheba Avedos in his Aveda La'edo Galas Samuna to reveal the Amunah Shebachol Echav Misrael Shemitzad Etzem and Neshama that comes from the essence of the Neshama, the higher level. Ba'ef and Sha'ach Kach Yavdo Avidos and Mikayach Atzman, that they do the Aveda by themselves. And this is about the same thing. If you think about it, the Rebbe passed away 31 years ago, and the guys are still functioning. Now it's their Aveda doing it. But who gave him the Aveda, the Koyach, to be able to do this Aveda? The Rebbe, Moshe Rabbeinu, gave the Koyach that through his awakening, Bachi and Ner Tamid, to the extent it should be Ner Tamid, Shin Shayach by Shinui, that there's no change, Gamitza Koyach Segaluyim. That even the revealed powers are mamish one with the essence of the neshama. Okay, this is the finish of the Maamar. Because of mamish, the goal amitas v'ashleim shaz yia gili alukus. That then will be gili alukus gamitzaramata. That even from our perspective, in other words, we're doing the aveda. In other words, basically, the Rebbe is explaining like this. The ultimate gilui of the essence of the neshama is through the Aved of Eden themselves. That causes Tomid. Now that Aveda is not awakened through Mesiras Nefesh. Because Mesiras Nefesh, again, is something causing it to be revealed, and therefore it's limited where there's Mesiras Nefesh. Where there's no Mesiras Nefesh, you're not going to have it. But the ultimate level is that the Eden have the Aveda by themselves, not because of an exterior force. The Eden themselves, v'yiyaz avos Hashem avadlokas haneres, v'yichoy lech Hashem lalis ne'tomegam begashmius, b'beis hamikdash hashlishi b'gol mitzvah shtem adem Mashiach tzedekenu b'kol mamash.